And welcome back, everyone, to Pokemon Team Creation Series. Today's suggestion comes to us from Seth Xenomon Official, who asked the question, what is Emilico? I've never watched Shadow House, so you'll have to forgive me on the pronunciation. From Shadow House, she's a living doll who acts as a maid to, I think, the main character, or she's the main character of the series, but acts as a maid, essentially. She is not human. She's apparently a living doll. So, and I mean, she's very chipper, very pleasant, so I'm like, okay, I can work with that. So let's get started here. She's a living doll, so makes sense to have some Pokemon on the team that are, in essence, living dolls. Now, there are a couple examples of this, and the most notable one is Banette. Banette is a ghost type, yes, but she is, in fact, a possessed doll, is what she is. So I think that's a good place to start. Add on the fact that Emilico is not human herself. I think we have a good option there. But what about the fact she's a maid? Well, there is a waiter, butler, maid type Pokemon that exists. Indeedee. Particularly the female version, just because this is a female character. But yeah, Indeedee probably works in this similar capacity, just because that's the design, apparently, of Indeedee to some whatever degree. At least that's the design I've always gotten from it. Maybe that's not what they're supposed to be, but I feel like at least the female Indeedee does seem to look somewhat like a maid. It looks like she's wearing the kind of like maid-like skirt to some degree, whereas the male one is a bit more proper and butlery. Either way, I put Indeedee there. Then we're going to go with something that kind of mirrors a doll, but it's a bit more just looking for friends, and therefore it's kind of good-natured. I went with Mimikyu. Now, Mimikyu is a little bit darker in tone for this character, but again, because this is not a human character, and because she is chipper and very friendly with individuals, and I believe she has friends like her master and all that, I think this does work in its favor. Oh, excuse me. So, I mean, the explanation isn't as good as some of the other two, like these last two, but the fact that it puts on this little disguise, basically kind of like a puppet doll thing, you could go that route. Then we're going to just skip ahead real quick. There's one other doll that I can remember off the top of my head. There is also Magearna. I could have done that one, but Magearna doesn't really work, I think. Not because it's not a Pokemon that... what's the best way to put it? Not because it can't fit. A, because I kind of forgot about it up until this point. But B, and more importantly, it's more designed like a mechanical doll, and it's powered by the soul heart, all that. So, I don't know. Maybe. In fact, look, I had Baltoy here, as you can see. Give me 1 second here. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually like Magearna a bit more. It's an artificial created Pokemon, which is what living dolls, more or less, are artificial humans created. Magearna. Or Magearna. Or can I get Magearna up here? Magearna? I can't get Magearna up here right now. So I guess Baltoy will have to be the stand-in. Plus, it is representing of kind of like a dreidel. So it is still kind of a child's plaything. Why can't I remember to spell Magearna's Pokemon name, like the name of Magearna? Because I know I have Magearna in my files here. I've used Magearna before in other teams. I'm just trying to figure out I'm trying to remember what the damn name is. Like, I know the name, but how it's spelled. Tapu. Where are you, huh? Where are you? Tapu Fini. Interesting. Morgrim, Imbidimp, Hatterene. Okay, Magearna. Yeah, I had it. I was spelling it right. So why couldn't I find it? 1 second here. This is, and now we're going to do this thing. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. Sorry. Give me just 1 second here. Because I'm trying to get Magearna up here, and for some reason, it will not let me give me Magearna. Okay, so, Magearna. And come on, chameleon. it's just taking a sweet time now for whatever reason. Like, find me the damn Pokemon. Come on. It's not that hard, computer. Um, the next mon or two on the list is it really just does not want to do the search function at the moment. I don't know why it doesn't want to do that. Okay, let's try that again. For whatever reason, it's not wanting to do the search function, and that's pissing me off. Come on. Let's try this one more time now with gusto. Otherwise, I'll just pretend it's there. Maybe it's because I got that. Maybe it's because I'm also running the video at the moment. Maybe that's what's doing it. But for whatever reason, it does not want to. Magirna. I don't know. I'll keep it up for right now. But yeah, so I wanted the last few mon on the team to represent something not necessarily of her, but something, say, a maid would use to like a Pokemon that would help a maid in cleaning. Like, that's what I overall wanted to do. And now everything. I don't know. I don't know why this is not working right now. You know, maybe if I get rid of Baltoy real quick here. Sorry that this is becoming a on the fly kind of bullshit thing here, but I am really annoyed that this is not doing its normal thing here. All right, Magirna. Let's see if I can't actually pull Magirna up here finally. Let's see here. Okay, so there's that. There's this. Come on. And seriously, why aren't you? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, Magirna. All right, there we go. Don't know why it took so long to do that, but yeah, Magirna. So this actually does make more sense now that I think about it. The more I spoke about it, the more it did make sense in my head. So yeah, here we are. Now, for weaknesses, that does change up the dynamic on this team. And in fact, Magirna now becomes the ace of the team because it is a mythical. So I will be moving the last two mon over just a little bit. The first one, not so much. Like I was saying, Pokemon that would aid you in a maid-like setting. So Meryl, I chose Meryl mostly because a Pokemon that can shoot out water, help clean the forest. I think it's fine. It's cute Pokemon. She would probably like cute Pokemon, so I think that's perfectly adequate. The last one on the team, though, this is a mon that has multiple hands. Is it Machop? No, Ambipom. A fun kind of like goofy Pokemon that's got multiple hands to be able to help out in day-to-day chores. That's what I chose there. Now there are other Pokemon that have multiple arms. Certainly, I decided to go that route personally. Now, with that being said, however, how balanced is this team? Well, okay, so I do have to fix that real quick a little bit. Just due to the fact that I'm going to be doing this a little on the fly now because I do have to correct the the balancing of the team. I'll do it on the fly, so I might not get everything completely right here. I just need to double check on weaknesses for Magirna. I know it's going to be still weak to ground. It's going to be still weak to fire because of the steel typing. It's not going to be weak to fighting, though, thanks to the fairy typing. And it won't be weak to poison because of the steel typing. That being said, I do need to check if steel resists steel. Because if steel resists steel, then it's also not weak to... the fairy type part of it is not weak to steel. I think... Yes, steel does resist steel. So that means it's not weak to steel either. Steel's only weaknesses are fire, fighting, ground, and that's it. Which means really fire and ground are your only real weaknesses on this mon. Fire and ground, does that change anything here real quick as I'm looking at getting rid of all of Baltoy on here for the weaknesses I gave it? Let's see here. No. Well, actually, a little bit takes that one. So takes that one away, and it oh no, it does not. Yeah, it does take that away. So I just scratched that off completely, and that's down to 2. Fire? Was there anything else on the team weak to fire? No. And what about ground? Was there anything else on the team weak to ground? No, there was not. Okay, then. So the weakness is this team's actually not bad because I got rid of its ×2 weakness to grass by getting rid of the ground typing. It's ×3 weakness to dark. I got because Baltoy is because Magearna isn't weak to dark. I got rid of its ×3 weakness to ghost. That's now it's only a ×2 weakness to ghost. And it's ×2 weakness to bug too. So really, the only weaknesses on this team are like multi-covered weaknesses are dark, 2 times weak to dark, 2 times weak to ghost, and 2 times weak to steel. That's it. Now on the opposite side of the spectrum, though, I've got a 3 times strength against dragons, a 4 times strength against fighting, I believe it's a 3 times strength against dark types. The steel typing comes in and gives me a 4 times? No, because of the ground type, that stays the same. 3 times strength against rock. The ice is irrelevant. Steel is also strong against, what is the arrow? Steel's pretty strong, but it actually only has, and it's fairy, like I said. There's really no overly strong strength against fairy on this team. So there you go. So that being said, as always, how balanced is this team? Well, seeing as I am going to have to change my opinion on this a little bit, but it's frankly not by much. So the long and short of it was you could not become champion in any of these teams. You wouldn't have struggled initially until you got to Erica. Now, Shuppet still wouldn't be evolved by the time you got to Erica. Meryl's going down quick. But Mimikyu having a disguise, being a fairy and a ghost type, and indeed having psychic, and Olivermont actually having a sub type of poison, except for Tangela, means you actually could beat her. It's not that big of an issue. The remaining gyms, not so bad until you get to, honestly, until you get to Blaine. Now instead of the Baltoy, which having at least had a ground resistance, kind of, and could actually hurt it, now you have a distinct weakness to fire with that Magearna, even if it is a mythical. Add on the fact you don't have anything strong against fire except for that Meryl, which is single stage and not that powerful. And you might struggle. But you will have a fully evolved Bayonet at this point, as well as an Ambipom, so I don't think it's impossible. Giovanni, on the other hand, honestly, me giving Magearna to this team doesn't change how you go against Giovanni. If anything, I just gave you a bigger weakness with this team. Because of that ground typing, unfortunately, which he is a ground trainer. With a Dugtrio that outspeeds everything on this team, not to mention Nidoking and Nidoqueen, who are both tanky, Rhyhorn and Kangaskhan. Sometimes he has a Rhydon depending on the version you're doing. So, yeah. And you have 2 normals. 2 normals which aren't going to be able to hurt those guys very well because there's other types don't really work well against there. The Psychic can do a little bit, but the Indini he only got 1, by the way. He might be able to hurt the Kangaskhan and Nidoqueen, but they're so bulky that they're going to take that thing down quick. Magearna's the only one who can maybe do anything. I mean, obviously Meryl can do a little bit, but it's not fully evolved at all. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think you stop at Giovanni. Even if I got you all the way, even if you hypothetically got to Lance, could you beat Lance? Well, he starts out with Pidgeot, so you start with Bayonet. He would swap into Alakazam, probably. That's just the way that works. And unfortunately, at that point, you have a problem. Bennett can hurt Alakazam pretty hard, but Alakazam has way better stats in terms of special attack and speed. So even if you do get a hit off on it, your chances are you're not putting the Alakazam quite down. Even if you did, you then got to deal with a Rhydon, which you don't have a firm answer to. The Meryl's the only thing that can do much, and it's not taking down a Rhydon. So now you're going to kind of getting cleaved through a bit, unless you throw out Magearna, in which case he just throws out a Fire-type Pokemon, and can easily take that Magearna down, to be frank. And yeah, at that point, you're really fighting an uphill battle. I just don't think it's likely you could beat Lance. Okay? Well, actually, sorry, Blue. I said Lance is Blue. Lance is Johto. Speaking of which, you wouldn't even get past Faulkner. You wouldn't get past the first gym. And spoilers, that's kind of a lot of the problem with this, because Shuppets, as a first game Pokemon, or as a starting game Pokemon, not a good Mon against a lot of these gyms. If it's a normal type gym, or a gym with normal type Mon, spoilers for Unova later, you're screwed. You have no no non-ghost type damage dealing moves, save for if you get to level 16 Will-O-Wisp. That's it. So, yeah, you wouldn't even get past the first gym. Hypothetically, we rolled all the way to Steven. Could you beat Steven with this team? Unfortunately, this team's not good against steel types. It's barely good against rock types as it is. I mean, yeah, I believe Ambipom can learn some fighting moves. I'm going to double check that right now. But I think Ambipom can learn some fighting moves naturally. Like, I know it can do it with TMs, but I never factor TMs in, because then that's kind of defeating the point of if the team can win, because you can just make a team for anything. So yeah, I just don't go in for doing the TM thing. But that being said, let's see here now. That being said, what moves does Ambipom learn naturally? If it can learn some fighting type moves, you'd stand a solid shot. Not against all of them, like not against the Skarmory or the Metagross, but again, against the Claydol, against the Lileep, against the Aggron, not the Claydol, sorry, why did I say the Claydol? Against the Lileep and the Aggron, at least, you'd stand a shot, at least, if you had some fighting type moves. But again, Ambipom's also more of a attacker with some minor defense. What the? God almighty. Okay, there we go. So let's see. What can I learn naturally? Does it learn any fighting moves? No, it does not learn any fighting moves naturally. The best I can offer is no, not even double hit. Like Fling or Last Resort. Yeah, just yeah. So I mean, the double hit can be nice, but not against this team. So Magearna being neutral to steel helps, but its fairy moves are no good, so you can't beat Steven, sadly. Wow, I skipped all the way to Hoenn. God, I'm a mess today. I meant to say if you could beat Lance, which, by the way, let's just skip to Hoenn real quick. You're not beating Roxanne either. You just can't. Again, a Shuppet's defenses aren't going to hold up to Rock Tombs. So, okay, we went to Hoenn. Let's go back to Johto real quick. Lance, all those Dragon-type Mon. 3 Dragonites. Yes, you have 2 fairies. Immune to Dragon. That's not bad. It's not bad. No, sorry, 3, because Meryl is a fairy as well. I forget that all the time. Not bad. And Steel resist Dragon. Great. He still has an Aerodactyl, Gyarados, and a Charizard. So even if you bring out Magearna or Mimikyu, Meryl's not lasting at all. Or Mimikyu, he just has to bring out one of those guys and just screw you over. So, no, it's not happening with Lance. Similar to the problem with Roxanne, you then got to go against Roark, whose team is just straight up better than Roxanne's. That Cranidos is a beast for that point in the game. Like, its attack stats are nuts. I usually try to use a Rampardos when I play that game, because damn it, those things are beasts. It's a glass cannon, but damn it, don't I love it. So yeah, could you beat Erica? Cynthia? No! Because she starts with Spiritomb, and I'm pretty sure the thing has Sucker Punch. So Bayonet's dead. What are you gonna do? Throw Indeedee out there? Like, I mean, your best case chance is probably to throw either Magearna or Mimikyu out there. And even then, that's a fight and a half you got to get through. So either Mimikyu goes down and you then have remaining 4, or Magearna is injured but can still fight. So then she throws out either Gastrodon, which has Earthquake, Lucario, or freaking Garchomp early. Like, you're not, and again, who has Earthquake? So the fairy move means dick. So, yeah, no good. And likewise, as I said, for Unova early on, spoilers, both starting gyms have straight normal types in them. Black and White has Chillin, Cress, and Cillian, so they have Lillipups. And Sharon is a normal type trainer, so you can't get past the first gym. Then, and so can you beat the champions? No, you can't beat the champions. No. Yes, Ghost resists Bug. Sure. So the Acelgor isn't going to immediately take down the Bayonet. Great. But he's still got Drudagon. He's still got Volcarona or Excavalier. And the Volcarona is going to, if Volcarona is frankly going to clear pretty much all of his team out. Just out. And then Iris, needless to say, now Iris is a little bit trickier to figure out because you do have a mythic level fairy Pokemon and a steel fairy at that, which means you can take out things like the Hydreigon relatively easily. And in fact, most of her Dragonmon you should be able to take out. It's the other Mon that are the problem. You don't have a good answer for the Aggron or the Lapras and not even the Archeops. Like you're gonna have to just wait to kill that thing, like straight out for Defeatus to kick in. So while you could take out the Dragon type members of the team, and that's a big could, because you could still use other moves that aren't Dragon moves. Yeah, I still don't think it's likely. Then in Kalos, you stop at Grant at Kalos. The problem with that is you still have a Shuppet, and Indeedee, for all of its special attack, is not a physical defense type, really. So the fact that Tyrant has Bite means it's taking down the Indeedee and the Ghost type Bayonet pretty quick. So there you go. Could you beat Diantha? Once again, not really. Hawlucha's not weak to Bayonetta. It's going to stack some Swords Dances. And it's got much better stats than the Bayonet does at that point. So even with the resisted attacks, it's probably taking down the Bayonet. So then you got to figure out how to take down the Hawlucha. You could bring out the Mimikyu. That's probably the best bet. Then he's going to bring out the Tyrantrum, or she's going to bring out Tyrantrum because that's just the way the AI works. It can just use Head Smash and just take this thing down if it wants. Even with it being a Dragon type, it's still got more than enough stats to take that thing down. And then you're gonna probably have to throw out Magearna. You would take down the Tyrantrum. You'd also take down the Aurora. You'd even take down the Goodra. The Gourgeist is tricky, but is a little bit trickier. But I think it's possible. But then you got to deal with Mega Gardevoir. Magearna is still taking a hit or two at that point. And that thing is balanced out. So I don't think you're beating that Gardevoir. Magearna would go down, and at that point, you're just hoping not to die too quick. Then you go into Galar. Galar, I think you'd get all the way to Kofu, or Kabu, whatever his name is. The Fire-type gym leader. I think you'd get all the way to him, and then it's kind of just a stop. Like, that's it. Like, I don't think you can get past the 3 Fire-type Mon. Not to mention the fact that he's got the Center Scorch is bug typing, strong against the Indeedee. I believe one of those Mon has a dark type move on it, so the Bayonet goes down, and Mimikyu can only do so much on its own. You would also not beat Leon because right out the gate, his Aegislash completely trumps your Bayonet. Even if you were to take it down, which would take a little bit of effort, you then got to deal with the Dragapult, which can just outspeed everything on the team and just wreak havoc. Keep saying this day should have been his ace. And then in Paldea, quite frankly, you would stop at Norman. Norman, I believe, is the 5th gym leader. But the fact is, you have 2 Ghost-type Mon. And any of your Ghost-type moves aren't really going to work. The only other 3 Mon you have are Indeedee, Meryl, and Ambipom. His Mon are fully evolved and even terrestrialized into normal. I don't see that really... No, I don't see that working out, unfortunately. So I would say you couldn't beat that either. But could you beat Gita, who is the weirdest of these guys? Bayonet versus Epathra. Bayonet should win that fight. Okay. All right. We're starting out decent. I believe Veluza comes out next. Veluza should outspeed Bayonet. Might take the Bayonet down, but you could still take it down. Let's just say Bayonet's running on like a couple HP. But that's when she brings out, I believe, the King Gambit. And unfortunately, without a fighting or fire type move, you're effed. Once that King Gambit, and again, she doesn't use that King Gambit, right? But once she uses that King Gambit, you are done. Because Supreme Overlord comes out, your 2 Mon right there, weak to dark. Even Mimikyu, for all of its resistances, is not going to be doing the best in that scenario. The only thing, now, that being said, you probably should bring out Magearna, but the problem is now it's kind of a, you are struggling for supremacy in that fight. Because yes, you have a fairy steel type who would be resistant to the dark type moves. But conversely, she has a dark steel type that's resistant to the fairy type moves. So it is kind of tricky who really could get the win in that scenario, because the main attacks you'd be using, your fairy and your dark type moves, are resistant to each other. So it would come down to what other moves you have. And I mean, King Gambit has Iron Head, Kowtow Cleave, Zen Headbutt, and Stone Edge. Most of it you'd be neutral against, except for the Zen Headbutt. Whereas, yeah, conversely, you're also not doing much. So it'd just be... And the fact is, the stat increase on King Gambit might edge you out. If you do manage to take it down, you're still going to have to deal with the Go-Goat, you're still going to have to deal with the Avalugg, and you're still going to have to deal with the Glamora. Assuming that all you have left is Meryl, Ambipom, and Mimikyu at this point. He for Go-Goat, I guess bring out Ambipom or maybe Mimikyu. Mimikyu can at least take a hit. But stat-wise, I mean, you're going to be fighting it out. And then the Avalugg comes out, and you no longer have a good option for the Avalugg because your Steel type would be gone at this point. And despite it not being a big defensive typing, that thing's got a lot of bulk on it. So, yeah, I think it's at that point you're just done. Even if you have, say, Meryl against the Glamora, it just doesn't have the stat line to take down the Glamora on its own. So, no. Even if you hypothetically got to every single champion, you could not become champion. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.